Well, see that guy right here on the screen? This guy on the right. He spent his winter break from college documenting Mexico's deadly drug wars. He's going to share his compelling story next. And remember, you can join Rick Sanchez for his national conversation whenever you visit Atlanta. Just give us a call, 877-4CNN-TOUR. In our ConneXion segment today, he took it upon himself to go to Mexico and file his own eye reports, and that's why he's in today's ConneXion. If you hear college kids say they're spending winter break in Mexico, you might expect a sunny resort at Cancun or Cozumel, but one you're about to meet chose a very different trip to Juarez, the heart of the Mexican drug war. Alex Pena is a junior at Florida Gulf Coast University. He took it upon himself to go to Juarez last week and filed this eye report.
This scene here in a middle-class residential area of Juarez, a 36-year-old male named Yumaro, now a victim in this ongoing narco war in Juarez, Mexico, a war being fueled by America's demand for illegal drugs. Part of the way the police plan on combating the violence in the city is by patrolling the streets, using these trucks and the soldiers. So this area we're rolling through right now is known to have gangs come together and plan their killings for the night. So as a police patrol, they're hoping that they can get to them before they get ready, leave, and start killing for the night. As we were on patrol, we ended up back at the police station. Somebody brought a body here, possibly a sicario, a hitman. Tonight, the victim wanted the roam. A police officer shot and injured in a vehicle-to-vehicle shooting. The hospital behind me is very well guarded tonight. That's because there's a real possibility that the shooter will try and come back and finish off the victim inside of the hospital.
Hi, Alex joins me now from Miami. Alex, how'd that end? What happened to that officer who was brought to the hospital?
Well, fortunately, no gunman went back into the hospital, but the officer did end up losing his life to injuries sustained in the shooting. He was actually one of 2 that night who was killed and one of 4 who was killed that week.
Hi, Alex, how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
And have you ever studied journalism?
I'm studying journalism right now at Florida Gulf Coast University.
All right, so tell me how this worked out. You found somebody in Juarez who could show you around or set you up so that you could ride around with the police?
Yeah, well, through a series of networking, I made tons of phone calls, but I ended up getting in contact with a local journalist in the area who's done this for a while now, and he was able to get me in contact with somebody who would let me ride along with the police and kind of document what they do at nighttime in Juarez.
Now, you wanted to get some experience to become a journalist. You actually thought you might become a war correspondent. This was close to home, and did it feel like a war zone to you?
It definitely felt like a war zone. I think it was definitely different from what I had expected it to be. I don't think I expected that many murders to be in the city. It's an average of 8 to 10 murders a day. When I happened to get there, the Mexican officials had killed the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, one of the top officials, and violence broke out in the streets. So with an average of 8 to 10, when I was there, it was actually 16 murders one day, 20 murders the next day, 20 murders the following day. So it definitely felt like a war zone.
Is there a sense of menace when you're in Juarez? Does it feel dangerous? Do people act as if there's danger around them?
During the day, it actually is a very well-functioning city. There's tons of people. It's a city of 1.5 million people there. And during the mornings and the early afternoons, there's people out selling, shopping, eating at the bars. And then once 10 o'clock rolls around, you see nobody on the streets. And it's a very eerie feeling in the streets. And that's when it starts to feel like a war zone. And some of the parts of the city, you don't see any police officers because they're either corrupt or they're scared to go there. In areas like that, you definitely feel a sense of menace and a sense of war.
And what do the police feel? I mean, do they feel, those who want to fight crime, do they feel that this is a battle they can win, or do they feel like they're just, no pun intended, outgunned by the drug dealers, the cartels?
The ones who aren't corrupt do. They feel very outgunned. Patrolling with the police, talking to the soldiers, it almost seems like a lost cause to them. And to be honest, a lot of them are scared because they're so outgunned. We were rolling through a city with one of my guides, and I looked over at him. I said, how come there's no police officers here? Just one block down, there was about 4 to 5 patrols within 2 blocks. He said, well, are you crazy? Do you think they want to get killed? So if they're not corrupt, they're too scared. And if you're too scared to fight this war, there's really no end to it.
All right, Alex, your report is compelling. Obviously, we don't advocate our reporters putting themselves in harm's way for a story. After all, Juarez is dangerous enough for professional journalists, as CNN senior Latin American affairs editor Rafael Romo can tell us. Rafael just did a piece on Juarez a few weeks ago. Rafael, thanks for joining us. Who are the major players here that Alex was talking about? What are they fighting over?
Well, Ciudad Juarez is the epicenter of violence in Mexico for a very simple reason. That's the part of Mexico where at least 3 different drug cartels meet. We're talking about the Juarez cartel, we're talking about the Sinaloa cartel, and about the Beltran Leyva cartel, whose leader was shot by the Mexican army just a week ago in central Mexico. So now you have a vacuum of power there, and you're trying to, these cartels are trying to figure out who the next leader is going to be. But you have a city of 1.5 million people. About 2,500 people have died so far this year. It's a record, and year after year they're establishing records. Alex was talking about the lack of police. Effectively, there is no police doing any drug law enforcement in Juarez. It is up to the Mexican army to do that. And Mexican President Felipe Calderon sent about 7,000 troops earlier this year in March. So far, the work that they've been able to do it doesn't really amount to much. So you see the same kind of violence repeating itself, Alec.
Rafael, what do you think of Alex having gone there? Very, very creative, very entrepreneurial. What is that a good idea?
It's definitely not a very good idea. If you go to Juarez, especially with a camera, he was very brave, and he was able to get access to an operation, as far as I saw. Not a very good idea. Juarez is probably definitely the most dangerous city in Mexico. Some even say the most dangerous city in the world, far more dangerous than Baghdad. The murder rate in Juarez is higher than 40 per 100,000 residents, so it's a place that you don't want to be in, especially at night. But definitely Alex had a very good report, and it was very brave of him. If he wants to be a journalist, he's on his way. Yes.
He's got his chops. All right, Rafael Romo, thanks very much, and Alex Pena, thanks very much for joining us.